Who's woke? You woke? Me? Oh, I've been woke, stays woke. Let me rewind. Some of y'all are not hearing what I'm talking about. Woke. W-O-K-E. Adjective. Definition, aware. Knowledgeable about what's happening in your communities and in the world, with the ability and willingness to assess and critique how social, political, and economic systems of oppression operate at macro and micro levels. Are we on the same page? So I was walking one day, and I met a black man, and he seemed rather woke, an ankh around his neck. A scent of incense smoke. He said to me, "Queen, sister, mother of the earth, black girl, let me treat you like goddess. Let me come into your world." Said he's equipped with the knowledge, and he's got all the facts about the stolen history and all the good that came from blacks. He's talking math and science and physical equations that they claim to have created after pillaging our nations. Black men say, if we are to win, then first we have to look within. And really, if we're gonna fight, then first we have to reunite. And really, if it's gonna work, then we gotta drop the bullshit. This European influence on us, no, he ain't cool with the gays, the queer, homosexual agenda, ploy to effeminize the black male. But no, he never will surrender. Black man, black woman, black child. Very simple. See, it's this white woman's feminism, always getting in the middle. Said he's annoyed with academics, the obnoxious black feminist. Well read, very angry, and probably needs a therapist. Maybe some green juice as well. It'll clean out the system. You know they eating swine and dairy and other foreign organisms. Going to white man's school to acquire a degree so you can get you some prestige and earn a living salary. But we don't need no recognition from the white man, you see. This man believes entirely in African divinity. I say, okay, black man, but really, what you trying to say? Said that he's woke and he's willing and wants freedom for black people today. I say, okay, and I keep walking. And I keep walking, and I come across a black woman reading book. She says to me, gender binaries are an illusion, and patriarchy is a crook. says she looks forward to the day when all Black lives will matter, including queer and trans, and those deemed unworthy of chatter, no conversation about the plight of those who remain invisible, like Black women and girls, and those for whom a gendered category is simply inapplicable. She's fed up. Tired of explaining all the time how her sexuality is not aligned with your feminine divine, she tells me, look, how are Black people to prevail when we are ideologically trapped in this damn hotep hell, reproducing the very systems that once stripped us of humanity? Fake deeps, the epitome of anti-intellectuality. She sighs from exhaustion, then returns to her book, then says her dissertation looks at how Black patriarchy cooks up the intra-racial conflict that impedes liberation. And if we could just deal with complexity, that'd be means for celebration, yes. She takes a sip from her mug, then proceeds to explain, you know, that it's very important that we as Black people in academia speak and write in ways that are accessible to Black people outside of these spaces. You know, we must fully reject any form of academic elitist exclusivity. And further, we must acknowledge that the differentiation of radical alterities is conducive to the conceptual logic of a truly advantageous and inclusive Black liberatory praxis. I say, okay, but really, Black woman, what you trying to say? Said that she's woke and she's willing and wants freedom for Black people today. I say, okay, and I keep walking. And so I keep walking. Well, then I come across a man who seeks to implement a plan with a loudspeaker in his hand. He says, "It is our duty to fight like it is our duty to win, like we must protect one another and we must love one another." I say, okay, Black man, what are you protesting today? He says, they always shoot us down, and every time they get away with it, no consequence at all. But we won't take it lying down, nah. Let's keep going, y'all. They said, Black lives matter. Then they said again, Black lives matter. Then the cops came, Black lives matter. You're gonna have to move. Black lives matter. Now I'm warning you, Black lives matter. Sir, you're under arrest. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. It's now a few hours later. He was in and out fast. Intimidation tactics. Says he's used to being harassed. You know, I catch a lot of flack for all the work that I do. Black people calling me extreme. I'm out here fighting for you. Academics say we don't have a thought-through plan. Sitting in that ivory tower with a book in your hand. Don't get me started on these internet activists today. Don't come to not one of the meetings, but got everything to say on Facebook. On Facebook. Typing from the comfort of your seat. Black people are out here dying and you gonna sit at home and tweet, running your mouth about everything we are not doing right. The ones that are on the ground with our bodies in plain sight, ain't it a shame y'all good for talking? Talk all night and day, but y'all scared of revolution. What the last poet say? I say, okay, black man, but really what you trying to say? Said that he's woke and he's willing and wants freedom for black people today. I say, okay, I keep walking. And so I keep walking, and I come across a black woman on her phone. She says, something. She does, I promise. She says she wishes these black radicals would leave the shit alone. They're making things worse. I mean, really, how much can we complain? We had a black man in the White House. Look how much we have gained. And I mean, yes, racism's real. I get that part. But do you think you're gonna change the world if all you do is just bark about every single thing that doesn't go your way with your bullhorn and your picket sign? What really will you change? And yes, I understand you demand basic civility. But when are we gonna talk about black accountability? We have to address our part in the matter, and if we don't, then we're setting ourselves up for disaster. Pull your pants up. Respect yourself. And maybe then you'll get respect. We have to do better at keeping each other in check. You know, we kill each other, then focus our attention on police. The approach is counterproductive and quite frankly obsolete, and we must shift our energy. How negative can we be? If all we think about is bad things, then we manifest it. You see, I was reading this book the other day, and it literally said exactly what I always say. you attract what you think about the most, you know? And if we think more progressively, then it will be so. But when I express how I feel, Black people call me a coon. But I just want what's best for us, and I want it soon. I say, okay, Black woman, really what you trying to say? Said that she's woke and she's willing and wants freedom for Black people today. And I say, okay, and I keep walking. So, I took you on a trip with me. We met 4 Black folks with 4 different ways of thinking, but they all call themselves woke. Who's really woke? Character 1 with a juice the color green, and a politic that demeans those he doesn't see as kings and queens. Or character 2, the academic, who stands up for the ones most invisible, but speaks in a language we can't all understand, an excess of syllables. Or character 3, the activist, always on the front line, but criticizes those who resist online. Or character 4, respectability politicking for sure, but still wants us to be all right. How will these 4 people unite? That's what it takes. No one cast away, nobody left behind, not even the most problematic kind. See, we cannot reproduce the force that tried to kill us off. Because if we do, I'm telling you, we'll have to pay a real cost. Look, what I'm saying is quite simple. We cannot throw each other away. We are complex and conflicted, often stuck in our ways. But regardless of all that, we're absolutely here to stay. So let's teach one another and be open to receive, because we really need each other. This is a fact, guaranteed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So, I would not be myself if I didn't take a moment to explain the piece. I do believe that the reason that I started doing theater work is because art has a powerful transformative tool to share information, you know, that is otherwise sometimes not received, not consumed, not understood, not heard. And why did I write this piece specifically about the Black community? I know that like folks over here in France hear about all of the devastating stories about what happens to Black people in America, am I right? Yes, you hear the stories. And people like in this space, called patriarchy is burning, we understand that one of the forces of literal violence and evil and illogical behavior in this world has been patriarchy. And why do I make this piece where the second character is obviously attempting to critique patriarchy in Black communities? Because it's very difficult to critique patriarchy anywhere, but even more specifically in communities where we have had to historically turn our attention to combating racism. Do you understand? That is why now this kind of term intersectionality is becoming a hot button topic. And I think that folks use the term intersectionality and oftentimes don't even really know what it means. Intersectionality is being willing to turn your attention to each and every social issue that causes violence or vulnerability in this world. You know, not just whichever one affects you, not just whichever one you feel passionate about, but wherever people are being harmed or experiencing unnecessary vulnerability, that is what intersectionality is about, whether it be racism, patriarchy, heteronormativity, queer antagonism, colonialism and neo-colonialism. Shout out to our brothers and sisters in Sudan fighting the fight at this very moment. But that if we're using our art the way that art can be in its most powerful form used, then we're using it to potentially transform minds and hearts to create a better situation for the next generation and the next generation. Thank you all.